What about the idea that Psalm 16 does not speak in any way of the resurrection of the Messiah? Psalm 16, which is quoted in the New Testament, does not speak in any way of the Messiah. Let's just take a look at this. When Peter preaches in Acts, the 2nd chapter, he quotes Psalm 16 and says, David spoke these words, that he saw that God would not allow his Holy One to suffer corruption in the pit, to die and rot in the pit, that he would, in other words, be raised. And interestingly, Peter says, look, we know where David's tomb is. We know David didn't rise, so his body did see corruption. It did rot like everybody else's body. So how can that apply? Well, Peter said, David being a prophet foresaw the resurrection of the Messiah. You say, yeah, but Psalm 16 is not saying that at all. Well, let's take a look at it. David says, I will bless the Lord, verse 7, who gives me counsel in the night also. My heart instructs me. I've set the Lord always before me, because he's at my right hand, I shall not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad, and my whole being rejoices. My flesh also dwells secure. For you will not abandon my soul to Sheol, or let your Holy One see corruption, or see the pit. You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. You say, well, David's just talking about himself. You're not going to let me die prematurely. You're not going to let me, your Holy One, your devoted one, see the pit. You're going to spare me from death. You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there's fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. It's possible you could read it like that, but there are some problems with it. Because ultimately David did see the pit. Either his body just rotting or the pit of death. Ultimately that did happen. And he did not just go into eternal life. There's even rabbinic tradition that says that there were some who were understood that were going to escape death, or their bodies would never decompose, and David was one of them. Because the text seems to be saying something. Let's look at it again. Therefore my heart is glad, my whole being rejoices, my flesh also dwells secure. If you will not abandon my soul to Sheol, or let your Holy One see corruption, see the pit. You say, but he's speaking about himself. Oh, he is, but he's speaking beyond that. You see, in the ancient world, and in parts of the world today, your progeny, your offspring, is your future. Let me give you a simple example. We know that many people in the Bible were named so-and-so, son of so-and-so. We get to the New Testament, we have, for example, Simon Bar Jonah. There's Bar, by the way, the Aramaic son of Simon, son of Jonah. And we hear, common names. I mentioned Abraham ibn Ezra, Abraham, son of Ezra. So this is very common, and this is how you have a last name to use. So you are the son of this person. That's part of your destiny and heritage. This is son of this one, and now you're going to live this out. Well, it's still customary in some parts of the Arab world, Muslim world, that when your firstborn son comes into the world, you change your name. And you become Abu, father of that one. Let's say you give birth to Walid. Walid is your firstborn son. You change your name to Abu Walid, father of Walid, because that is your new identity. Not just the son of this one, but the father of this one. And now you live out your destiny through that one. Less of a vision of the world to come and more of a vision of your progeny living things out. Your name being carried out in the subsequent generations. That's why it would be such a horror, like Hezekiah is going to die without a kid. That's why that would be such an absolute horror. No, it is through your progeny. It is through your progeny that this will be lived out, your destiny. So David knows that he has been promised that through his lines there would be a dynasty in Israel, and that ultimately there would be messianic promises fulfilled, that there would be a king even greater than David. So I look at it as David is meditating on his own life, and David is meditating on his own future. And David is meditating on the fact that these promises have been given. He looks ahead and he sees not death for himself through his progeny, but rather deliverance from death, rather eternal life, rather resurrection. And that gives him a sense of security. David, being a prophet, is seeing into the future. He's seeing his own life projected into the future through his progeny. There's nothing weird about this. There's nothing being read into this. This is very normal thinking, especially in the ancient Semitic culture. So David foresees, I'm not going to rot in the pit, or through my progeny, through my offspring, we're not going to rot in the pit. No, you show me the path of life. That gives me security today. What's he actually seeing? He's actually seeing the resurrection of the Messiah. Not just that he avoided premature death. No, he's seeing the resurrection of the Messiah. And through that resurrection, he now has this great hope and this vision of eternal life and deliverance from death. Was David delivered from his corpse rotting in the grave? Ultimately, no. Was Messiah delivered from death? Ultimately, yes. Was he delivered from rotting in the grave? Ultimately, yes. What David foresaw is fulfilled in the Messiah.